So I want to welcome you all to Widows and Social Security, What You Need to Know. My name is Paula Harris, and my partner in crime, who's also my husband, Bill Harris, is on the call with us. Bill is a certified financial planner, as well as an RMA, which Marcia and he share that designation together. And we, as a firm, have a specialty in helping empower midlife widows with their financial future. So this is part of our education series, which we're excited to be doing. And today is International Widows Day. So we chose this day on purpose to do this presentation because women coming from a place of information and knowledge is so much better than a place of fear and ignorance. And what International Widows Day is really trying to bring about attention to, in a lot of different cultures, widows are not treated very well. In the United States, we are much better off. I mean, there are countries where you're widowed, you are literally not living in your house anymore. Your family disowns you. And so we do live in a pretty wonderful country, but that doesn't mean we don't want to share the spotlight a little bit more on what we can do to support widows. So the way things are going to run before I introduce Marcia is I'm going to put everybody on mute. Marcia's going to go through her presentation. If anyone needs clarification during that time, type it into the chat and Bill will ask Marcia to clarify. When we get to the question and answer, because we're going to be a smaller group tonight, you can unmute yourself and you can ask your question directly, because sometimes there's some give and take and going back and forth on these questions, and I think that would be helpful. So our plan is to wrap up right at 8 o'clock. Assuming that we need to go that long, but we will not go longer than that. So I want to thank you all again for being here. And I want to thank our speaker tonight, Marcia Mantell. Marcia is proof that you can meet people via social media, develop a relationship, and then get to meet them in person. Marcia and I both belong to as well as Bill, the Plymouth Area Chamber. We first met on Twitter, and then we met face-to-face at a conference in Florida, which was kind of amazing. So Marcia had a 30-year career with Fidelity, and then she launched out on her own, and she is the author of 2 books. Her second book has come out most recently, and those of you on the call will be getting a copy of her book. It's called What's the Deal with Social Security for Women? Marcia loves to speak to women, as she is one, and she loves to talk to boomer women about retirement, as she says, because she's a boomer as well. And Marcia, you have a pretty impressive designation, the NSSA. So as I turn this over to you, would you mind telling us what your designation means? And thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much, Paula and Bill. I am delighted to be here educating and informing, I hope, helping folks learn a little bit more about what you do need to know about Social Security, which leads into the designation. The NSSA is the National Social Security Advisor designation. It is an accredited designation offered in the financial industry, and it is a lot of time studying and learning about Social Security. So in addition to that, I have spent the last probably now 15 years trying to figure this thing out called Social Security that we're all going to rely on so heavily in retirement. So that's what I've been up to. And I ended up finding that designation and sat for the exam and passed. So it was all exciting. So,
congratulations.
Thank you. So what I thought we would do today, Paul, if I can jump in here, I wanted to start with what I hope you take away today. This is a big topic, Social Security and widowhood. And I first want to say, for those of you who are widows, I'm very sorry for your loss. This is a tough topic. It is very difficult. I've helped friends through the early stages of widowhood. So I know it can be very difficult. But Paula, to your point of empowering women, that is what I'm hoping to do today. So what I would hope you can take away here is realize that your situation is going to be completely unique. There's nothing common about it. There's no such thing as, the average widow. So it's unique, and what happened in your life is going to dictate which benefits you're going to have available when it comes time for Social Security and when they become available. The second thing is terminology is very important. Survivor spouse benefits, that's a thing. It's a bucket, if you will. And they're different in Social Security world from your retirement benefits. And you're going to have to choose which of your benefits, if you're eligible for both, which one do you take first, and then when do you switch? So we're going to talk about all of this, but I just want to lay the landscape here. Third is, it's just all complicated. All right, so what I want you to be able to take away is you're going to have options, and it's important for you to know you have options. You don't have to figure them all out tonight. And then it's also important that you're going to prepare before you go and make your appointment with the SSA. When you're ultimately ready to claim benefits, you do need to have a discussion with the SSA in most cases, Social Security Administration, the agents. But you want to be as prepared as possible because the agents don't always understand survivor benefits and what to do with two kinds of benefits, retirement and survivor benefits. So the more prepared you can be, the better your experience will be. And then, as I mentioned, when you file, you do have to talk to Social Security and provide certain documentation. All right, so that's what I hope you take away. How we're going to cover that today is we'll cover some of the basics of the widow benefits or survivor benefits. And I'm going to show you, we're not going to calculate benefits, but it's important for you to see implications of what your husband did and how that impacts you, how you can switch, there's some different options, and then where to get more information. So believe it or not, we're going to start with who is eligible for widow benefits. And there are actually two groups of women. The first is if you are a surviving spouse. The second, if you're a surviving ex-spouse. So some of you may fall into both categories. And there are lots of rules around these, which partly starts to illustrate the complexity right away. To be a surviving spouse, you can come at it from a few different angles. You were married to only one guy or one woman, and then that spouse died, right? Now you become a surviving spouse. Age does not matter here, not yet. Another situation is maybe you had one or more short marriages along the way, defined as less than 10 years. But then you remarried and that current spouse you were married to died. And at the point of claiming survivor benefits, an important rule is you need to be unmarried in order to get a survivor benefit. Because if you're married and you want to claim on a spouse who predeceased you, you can't because you're married. So that's where it's going to get, a discussion is warranted with Social Security. On the ex-spouse side, if you were married for 10 years or longer to the same person and you have not remarried, in that case, you're eligible for surviving ex-spouse benefits. If you were married for 10 years or longer, then divorced, but you remarried after 60, you're still eligible for ex-spouse survivor benefits. And if you were married and divorced more than once, 2 or 3 times, as in many cases today, but at least one of those marriages, if it lasted 10 years or longer, you will be eligible on that deceased ex-spouse for benefits. So just know if you have questions, you can research this online. You can call Paula, you can call me, you can call Bill. We will help you figure this out. Because again, that first thing I wanted you to take away was it's all unique to you and your situation through the course of a long life. Now, the same rules do apply if you're married or divorced, but in a same-sex marriage. So just keep that in mind as well. In this presentation, I'm going to go with, it's a little bit easier for me to explain and just keep things, I'll call it the old-fashioned traditional marriage. So my examples will be a him and a her. And unfortunately, we're going to make him predecease you. Okay, another thing you need to know, there are 2 different full retirement ages. Full retirement age is that point when you are eligible for the optimal benefits, unreduced benefits. If you have your own work record, you're in the green box. You have a full retirement age if you're born in 1958, for example, that is 66 and 8 months. But if you're a survivor also, a surviving spouse or surviving ex-spouse, your full retirement age born in 1958 is earlier at 66 and 4 months. So you become eligible for survivor benefits a little bit earlier than for retirement benefits. Just something to keep in mind. For retirement benefits, we're going to use this as the foundation. You've been working, you've been earning, paying your FICA taxes and earning credits toward your Social Security benefit. Your full retirement age will be between 66 and 67. That's the age when you get your unreduced benefit, whatever that number is. But you can claim as early as 62. If you are to do that on your own benefit, you lock in a 25 to 30% reduction. But you can also wait till 70 on your own benefits, and you get a bonus at 8% per year. So you just get more if you can hold off your own benefit and wait until age 70. That's when you get your maximum benefit. And 65, regardless of what you're doing with Social Security, 65 is Medicare eligibility. So I just don't want you to forget that age. The note here is anytime you claim before full retirement age, you get a penalty, you get less money per month. Anytime you can wait until after you get more. Your spousal or ex-spousal benefits, they work differently. And the first and most important thing is over here on the left, spousal benefit are anchored on the higher earning spouse's benefit amount. So with retirement benefits, it counts on your own work history. In the case of spousal or ex-spousal benefits, it's what he had earned, what his primary insurance amount was. So your spousal benefits stop when your spouse died. So it's just a point that you need to know, because these are going to be different options for you as we get to the claiming piece of this conversation. Full retirement age, again, it's different than your retirement. Oh, it's the same as your retirement age, 66 to 67. You can claim spousal benefits or ex-spousal benefits as early as 72 when it's possible, but you lock in a big reduction. Medicare still at 65. Survivors, the timeline looks very different. Surviving spouses have the survivor full retirement age, and it stops at 66 to 67 in that chart we saw earlier. You don't get a bonus by waiting to claim survivor benefits. So the most you're going to get as a surviving spouse happens at your survivor full retirement age. However, you can claim as early as 60, not 62. So survivor benefits become available to you earlier. But anytime you claim before full retirement age, you do get a reduction. And here I'm just showing you the various reduction ranges depending on that full retirement age. So you'll get less every month that you claim early versus a full retirement age amount. Some examples are coming. So to kind of summarize all that detail, and I know it's a lot of detail already, but you will be eligible for 2 or 3 different benefits, because you may have a work record, you may be married currently to someone who is a spouse, or you may have survivor benefits. However, you're only going to get one benefit at a time. And what your ultimate goal is, and the reason you want to do all this planning in advance, is you want the highest single benefit you can get for the majority of your retirement. You're going to be able to switch between the benefits. And that's why the survivor benefit and the widow's benefits are so complicated. Social Security doesn't understand it very much, and we certainly don't. You know, it's very hard when you're in the moment. So just know you have your own benefits, and we're going to figure out what you get when. All right, so how's your benefit calculated? Well, each widow's benefit amount has to be calculated individually. The actual dollar amount is going to depend on lots of factors. Things like this: how old were you when your husband died? How old was he when he died? Had he already reached his full retirement age or not? Was he eligible for full benefits? Did he have 40 credits, or did he die quite young and have less credits? Was he collecting benefits? Were you collecting spousal benefits or your own benefits at that time? Had you even reached your full retirement age? And last but not least, were there minor children in the household that you were raising at the time he died? So all of these come in and make this a unique situation for you. But where it all kind of comes together, the most important parts are: how much was your husband or ex-husband receiving, or could he receive as a benefit? That's the most important consideration. Then when you claim, will it be reduced or not? In the order of your benefit options. All right, so a couple of examples here. When your husband or ex-husband claimed his benefit is going to determine your widow benefit. All right, so we're going to look at what was his initial payment amount, and then what would you receive if you wait until your full retirement age, your survivor full retirement age, to get the benefit. So if he died but was claiming already, but he claimed at his full retirement age, getting $2,000 a month, at your survivor full retirement age, you'd get $2,000 a month. If he claimed early, maybe as early as 62, because he could have, these were his retirement benefits, he could claim early. And if he's getting $1,500 a month, you'll get at least that amount. You might get a little bit more. And if he had waited till the latest, the strategy was, oh, he's the worker, let's get him, waiting until age 70. He didn't claim until 70. So he got his maximum amount. That's what you will get as well. So it really depends on what your husband did that will determine your survivor benefits. Now, if he was too young to even start collecting, Social Security is going to calculate his benefit based on all those factors we just talked about at the point he died. So that's a number that only Social Security can construct for you based on your unique situation. All right, so there are different rules for surviving spouse benefits. And the general concept here is when your current spouse dies, you get to step into his or her shoes. When your ex-spouse dies, if you were married for 10 years or longer and you're unmarried, or you remarried after 60, I know it's a lot with the ex-spouses, but if this is your situation, you also get to step into your ex-spouse's shoes. And that's so long as he was the higher earner, so his benefit was bigger. That's the general rule. Again, you can claim at 60, but you'll get a reduced benefit. So let's look at a couple of examples. If your husband was the higher earner, the lower earner, you, the survivor, will step into his shoes. So while Henry and June are both alive, he was getting $2,000 a month. She was getting a spousal benefit of $1,000 a month. But he died first. So what happens is June's spousal benefit goes away and she will get his $2,000 a month. So she literally steps into his shoes, but she loses the benefit she was receiving on her own. Same thing with an ex-spouse. If your ex-husband dies first and you were the lower beneficiary, Jerry was getting $2,000, you were getting $1,500. Well, when Jerry dies first, you can stop your own payment and start getting the same amount he was getting because it was higher. So this is a really important piece for widows to understand, that you may be able to get more income from Social Security when your ex dies. Now, you have to know he dies and you have to go talk to Social Security about how much he was earning. But this is a piece that lots of divorced women in particular don't know. Usually for divorced men, they wouldn't need to know this because they were the higher earner. They're not going to get anything else. But keep this in mind if you're in a divorce situation. You're married 10 years or longer, meeting all the rules, but you can step into your ex's shoes. Now, what happens though if you were the higher earner? Lots of women these days, they out-earn their husbands. So in this case, if Henry's getting a benefit of $2,000 a month, but June's benefit is $2,800 a month, well, now June has some decisions to make depending on what age all of this is happening. But the first step is June, if she has not claimed her own benefit yet, she can delay it. And she can claim her survivor benefit from Henry, $2,000 a month. She waits now until her age 70, and she's going to get, instead of $2,800 a month, instead of $2,000 a month, she gets $3,400 a month. So this strategy works very well when you know that you can switch benefits, and when you are young enough where you can make this decision. Now, these don't work. This strategy doesn't work if you became a widow at 80, for example, and your husband was 82. You both are already well along the claiming path, so you're just going to step into his shoes and get a survivor benefit. But younger widows need to understand that there are choices to be made here.
And Marcia, are there any means tests that would cause their Social Security to be taxed more or anything like that if they did that?
Well, Social Security benefits, I position it, Bill, as you're always taxed on your benefits unless you don't have very much income coming into your household. So yeah, you may well be taxed if you're, as a single, now filing single, if it's over $34,000 in income that you're bringing into your retirement household, you'll be taxed on a portion of your Social Security. But my thought here, the position is more is more. So you want a higher monthly income if you can get it from Social Security than settling for less. There's also an earnings limit test, which I'll talk about in just a few minutes. And that's if you're still working and claiming a survivor benefit, you will not necessarily get all of it if you earn too much money. So there is a little bit of a clawback there. It all gets settled up at your full retirement age, but that's for early filers. If you're claiming your survivor benefit early, there's some things to watch for. I'll go over that in just a second. All right, so we want to look at 4 situations. We could look at 100, but I picked 4. So your situation is if you become a widow after your full retirement age, there's a certain set of a basket of goods we can look at. The second is if you become a widow after age 60, but before you've reached your full retirement age. The third one we'll look at is if you became an early widow before age 60, but no minor children were still at home. You could have had children with your husband, but in this case, they're already grown and gone, or you didn't have children. And then the fourth situation we'll look at is you become an early widow, so before 60, and you have minor children. They're his minor children at home. So let's go through each of these. First scenario here is you become a widow after your full retirement age. Both of you were collecting benefits. In this example, he's collecting $2,000 a month, she's collecting $1,000. As a survivor, you step into his shoes and get $2,000 a month. Now, where women especially need to plan is your household income is going to drop like a rock when your husband dies. If both of you were collecting, you lose a third in this example. You're going to lose a sizable amount of Social Security income. And the widows that I've talked to in my walk of talking about these, Social Security in particular, but retirement as well, they are stunned when that first month after he dies, they did get the bigger payment. They got $2,000, but they've been living on $3,000 from Social Security every month. So this is something you really have to work with Bill and Paula on your own strategy. Like, oh, if this were to happen, I would lose a third of what was coming in from Social Security. That changes your planning pretty significantly. It changes even more if you were closer in benefit amounts. He's getting $2,000 a month and she's getting $1,800, let's say. Well, you know what? When he dies, and again, you're both a little bit older, you're past full retirement age, you're going to get his $2,000 a month. So you'll get $200 a month more, but you lose your $1,800. So not quite, but almost half of your Social Security income stops coming into the checkbook. That is something to plan for.
Yeah, and Marcia, just to elaborate on that, there's all kinds of unfortunate stuff that happen in that space because you go into different tax brackets and it's just, you really got to plan around it.
I could not agree more, Bill. And it bounces around too. If you're not yet at RMD, required minimum distribution age, and then all of a sudden you are, and you've got a big required minimum, but you still have this drop in income. It's just, the tax side is, well, we could talk for days on that. So it's a little nutty. But I will say, ladies, you can still get your arms around it. You don't have to solve for the numbers. You just need to know that there are options out there and there are situations that are coming down the pike that matter from a financial view. Thanks, Bill.
No problem.
All right, so the second scenario to look at, you become a widow after age 60. So the reason I picked that, of course, is because that's when your survivor benefit starts, as early as 60. But you haven't yet reached your full retirement age. So we're back to this timeline. Full retirement age for survivors is still between 66 and 67. So you can start your survivor benefit at a reduction before your full retirement age. But, and Bill, to your point earlier, what we were talking about, if you're working, you need to pass the earnings limits test. And this year, if you make over $18,000 in change, it's like $18,240. If you make more than that for the year, then your survivor benefit will be clawed back. It's going to be, you're not going to get payments for a number of months, and you may not get any payments until you reach your full retirement age. There's also a problem if you personally are collecting a public pension, then the government pension offset may apply in your case. So there's a little additional catches, if you will, to survivor benefits. They're really here because as a surviving wife, the original assumption was you weren't working because you were the at-home wife. Today, it's a little more complicated than that, but you can't be working and earning a lot of money and still claim any kind of benefit before full retirement age. You can wait to claim your survivor benefit until your survivor FRA. And remember, that's when you get your maximum survivor benefit. Delayed retirement credits, the bonus money that you get on your retirement benefit, that does not apply here in the case of survivor benefit. So if you're a widow, you want to claim your survivor benefit by your survivor full retirement age. Now, the other note, and I find this unpleasant to have to share with folks, but if your only benefit, if you and your husband, if he died while both of you were claiming, and your only benefit, because you were an at-home mom, is a spousal benefit, it stops when he dies. So you have to decide, do you immediately, say if he died when you're 63, do you want to lock in a reduced spousal benefit now, survivor spouse benefit, or do you have other income and you can wait until your survivor benefit? It's going to depend on the numbers. It's going to depend on what you have everywhere else. To Bill's point, this stuff has to be planned for, and you need to analyze what your options are and what the monthly income is going to mean one way or the other to you. So an example here, you become a widow after 60, but before your full retirement age. He dies at 64, but you're 60. Well, in this case, your base survivor benefit will be the higher amount of what he was collecting or would have been collecting had he been collecting at on that day, or 82.5% of his death PIA. Social Security has to give you these numbers. So when you meet with them, this is one of the conversations you'll have, especially if he wasn't already collecting. But they're going to look at any possible option that you have as a survivor and help you get the highest benefit. So your actual payment, though, which you'll receive, will be adjusted and reduced if you claim before your survivor full retirement age. And the exact payment does require a little trip to the Social Security office, which are closed right now with COVID-19, but you can call them and set up a phone appointment. All right, on to scenario number 3. If you become a widow before 60, but you had no minor children at home. So say you were widowed at 47. There are no survivor benefits available at all. They do not start until you personally reach age 60. Okay, so if you claim at 60, again, you can, your benefit will be reduced to 71.5. I know it's a crazy number, but there you go. 71.5% of his death benefit amount. Social Security will tell you that. And again, you receive less when you claim before your full retirement age, if you're working and make around the $18,000 amount, or receiving a public pension. Now, if you have your own benefit, you've been working between age 47 and 60. Let's say you've earned your own retirement benefit. You are going to get to switch benefits, depending which one's going to give you the higher amount at the end of your retirement, the claiming periods. And survivor benefits, again, just a reminder, they only apply if you are unmarried still. So especially if you're a young widow, lots of young widows remarry, which is great. But if you remarried before age 60, you cannot claim on your deceased spouse. So keep that in mind. And our last scenario is if you become an early widow before you reach 60, but you have minor children at home and they are his children. So that's a distinction for a reason. You know, if you have your own children and you married this man, but then he died, if they weren't his children or he didn't adopt your children, this is different. These have to be the children you had together or you adopted together. So between 47 and 60, you as the surviving mom will be eligible for family benefits. As early as if you are widowed at 32 or 35, 47 in this example. So you will immediately receive what's called a family benefit. And you're going to get 75% of his death benefit. Now, again, if you go back to work or when you go back to work, it would be reduced if you're making over $18,000 this year. Your children, his children, the minor children, will also receive a family benefit immediately. And it's also 75% of his death benefit amount, but they'll be capped if you have multiple children. There'll be a family maximum assumed first. So Social Security is so much bigger than just a retirement program. When they talk about survivor benefits and surviving family member benefits, This is what they're protecting. They protect moms and dads and their minor children if one of the parents dies too early. Oh, and family benefits do apply to the divorced wife. So if you and he divorced years ago or whatnot, and you're raising his minor children, so long as you were married for those 10 consecutive years and you're still unmarried, this all applies to you as well. Now, oh, I see I forgot a B in this slide. Become an early widow before age 60 and you have minor children. Sorry, I'll fix that. Let me show you an example. So you were widowed at 47. You're eligible for family benefits until your youngest child is 16. So we have child 1 who's 15 at the point dad died, and child 2 who was 13. So when your younger child reaches 16 is the marker for you. So you will receive benefits at age 47 when you're widowed, 48, 49, and 50. Your oldest child receives benefits until age 18 or 19 if they're graduated from high school, still in high school. And your second child will receive 2 more years of benefits because they were the younger child. But you can see how Social Security is there really to help protect you and your young children if you became an early widow. Now, interestingly, your family benefit would stop at age 50 in this scenario because the younger one is 16 at that point. So you're going to have 10 years with no Social Security, but then as early as age 60, you can restart, but now you're eligible, if you're unmarried still, for survivor benefits. So you would have family benefits, then maybe survivor benefits, then your own benefits, or you would have family benefits, your own benefits, then survivor benefits. You have to work the numbers out. They're going to be unique to your own situation to determine what's the right order for you once you get to age 60 and what you should do. All right. I know this is a ton of information, and if this is the first time you're hearing this, you're like, oh, are you kidding me? Take a breath. This is where we started. What I wanted you to take away, and I hope you're taking these things away, your personal situation is unique, and it's your situation that will dictate the benefits that will be available to you from Social Security and when they become available. All right. Survivor spouse benefits are different than retirement benefits. And you're going to have to pick and choose, but there's an order that you would do this. We know it's complicated. Social Security knows it's complicated, but knowing that in advance makes it a whole lot easier when you go and visit with them. And I can't stress enough this idea of preparing how you're going to claim before making that appointment with SSA. When widows go in to see Social Security, maybe your husband died 8 or 10 years ago. So you're dragging up all this emotion. Then you're going to meet with an agent and they want all this personal information, it's all factual, but the death certificate and the marriage certificate or the divorce decree and your birth certificate and blah, blah, blah. You need all this stuff. And then you're trying to make decisions right there while the agent is trying to get money for you. But it often happens where you're not getting the maximum benefit in the long run. You might be getting more from one of the benefits, survivor or your own today, but it was the wrong decision. So we want you to prepare well before going and meeting or talking to the agent so you know what you want and you can advocate really well for you. All right, so contacting Social Security, that is a step you're going to have to take. So start with the Social Security website, ssa.gov. And make sure you have set up your Social Security account. This is where you get your statement. The retirement section is where you'll find information for surviving spouses, for family benefits, and your own retirement benefits. It's all in that section. Survivor benefits, there's a whole separate section. It's complicated to read though. I will say, the first read through, like we're all smart and we read this, go, oh yeah, I get it. And then you try to put some numbers to your situation and go, I have no idea what they're talking about. So that's kind of the normal course of action here. Your statement is just so important. Not only is it going to tell you your own benefit, but I wanted to point out it has your survivor benefit if you are the one who predeceases. So if you happen to have your husband's statement, doesn't have to be the last one when he was alive, but if you've got one, you will see his survivor benefits that were estimated. It gives you the ballpark of what kind of money you're talking about for monthly income. But again, Social Security has to give you the actual numbers, but this at least can help you with the planning. And would you take your benefit first or a survivor benefit first? Would you wait till full retirement age, or would you claim one of those benefits early? There's a lot of if-then kinds of scenarios when you become a surviving spouse.
Marcia, can I just cut in on that?
Of course.
Again, Social Security used to be really good at sending out statements on a regular basis. Then they kind of pulled back a little. Now they're going online. When can people expect to see these statements?
Almost never. It's a great question, Bill. Social Security sends out no statements anymore due to lots of budget cuts until you're 60. And you only get it from 60 forward if you have not signed up for the online My Social Security account. So I would just strongly encourage you to set up the account online. It's not hard to do. It's like setting up your Amazon account. You know, you put in a password and a username, and they do a two-step authentication. Partly it's to get your statement, which is super handy to have and important for planning, but it's also to help protect against Social Security fraud. The amount of fraudulent stuff coming out, people trying to steal your Social Security number, is just getting higher and higher and higher. If you can go in, set up your account, it's, you know, Marcia Mantell with her number at this address, I'm locked in now. And it's just a lot harder for someone to steal your Social Security number. So,
Marcia, on the same line, we have heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, but people who have had identity theft issues, they put on credit freezes and stuff like that, and then they try to go to Social Security, and that's locked down as well. Is that true? Do you have any?
That is true. That is totally true. I will say Social Security is nothing if not sort of ironclad in their approach. So thank you, Bill. It's a really good reminder. If you have things like a security clearance, you work for, a federal agency with a security clearance, and you've had things locked down, or just, I have a credit freeze because someone stole my identity years ago, same thing. I can't get in either without either unfreezing, and it takes a couple days, or when you're talking to Social Security, they can walk you through the paces to get an online account. Then you want to make sure to go in at least twice a year and keep it active so that you don't have to go through the rigmarole again. But yeah, that's a very good point.
Thank you.
A quick mention, in addition to the book, What's the Deal with Social Security for Women, I also write a blog almost every month, and there is a Social Security section on there, which is, it helps to become familiar with various parts of Social Security. I have a scavenger hunt for if you have never been on the website before, some places to get started. What's so important is that you take a step, you take a first step and start to just sort of pick away at this, especially as far in advance of age 60 as you can. If you're already 60 or older, well, it's today. Today would be a nice day to start this. So the advice I have for you is read about survivor spouse benefits on ssa.gov after you get your statement and sign up for that account. And then start comparing estimates at different ages. Work with Paula and Bill. If there's a right sequence of claiming that you can take in order to ultimately maximize this benefit, that especially for women becomes so very important. Many, many women, as in half of us, who are unmarried, we rely on Social Security for upwards of 75, 80% of our income in our older age. So we want this thing to go right. It's been tough enough that you've lost your husband. Let's make older age as financially secure as possible. So with that, we are at the end of this part of the conversation. And Bill, other comments and questions from you, or we'll open it up to questions.
Yeah, again, the floor is open. So if you want to send a message, I think we can just unmute you and I guess just fire away.
Now, unmute themselves.
You can unmute yourself and just ask a question. Marcia, I did want to ask, we had talked about it in previous presentations. You briefly touched on government pension offset. Can you go into a little bit deeper about windfall elimination provision? Because people get shocked when it happens to them.
Oh, you're so right, Bill. Years ago, when Social Security was floundering, the Congress looks for areas within the Social Security law that they can tighten up or sort of make other people pay, impact as few people as possible, but still help shore up the program. So one area is taxation. So we now all who have any amount of money at all pay tax on a portion of our benefits. The other was the windfall elimination provision and GPO, or government pension offset. This is a situation where if you have a public pension, so in Massachusetts, you're a school teacher, you work for the town, your local town government, those kinds of jobs, or certain union jobs where you've been and they've been paying into a pension plan for your retirement, but not Social Security. So these are uncovered situations. You're not covered by Social Security. Where that comes to roost is at Social Security time, if you have your own retirement benefit, but you're getting a teacher's pension, we'll say, you don't get all of your Social Security benefit for whatever other jobs you've had over the years. You will get your pension first, and then with the windfall provision, windfall elimination, they're going to take away a good chunk of your Social Security. The GPO is even worse. So in the GPO situation, this affects your survivor benefit. So as a widow, if you, again, were a teacher and you have a pension, the government pension offset says you can have your pension, but you cannot have all of your surviving spouse benefit. Two-thirds of your pension will be subtracted from your husband's benefit amount, and you're going to get the balance of that, but it could be zero. If you were a long-term teacher, I get this often. I got the 35-year veteran teacher from the Massachusetts public school system who's a widow. She's getting $3,200 and her husband's benefit was, say, $1,800. She ends up getting zero. So this is something beyond planning. I mean, it's so shocking to learn that. So you have to know, again, your situation is so unique. Are you subject to a government pension? So if you are, that's great. You get that pension. You know, you were not intended to get Social Security. It was a different path, but nobody likes to hear that, let me tell you. So thanks for bringing that up, Bill.
All right. But we've seen it happen. We've had clients that had, you know, the spouse had significant Social Security benefits, and then again, their survivor benefit was a goose egg because.
Yeah. And they were counting on that. You know, it's a really easy mistake for people to make. When you read your statement, all it says is, because it'll show you like, oh, he's entitled to $2,500 a month. But there's a little paragraph on that statement that says, oh, by the way, it's like a whisper. If you have a public pension, this isn't going to apply to you. We're going to make these drastic cuts. But it's just an unfortunate set of circumstances. And really, you do not want to find that out, you know, at age 60.
Marcia, earlier on you had talked about someone who was divorced and then their ex dies. Just kind of walk us through, I guess, Social Security is not going to knock on their door and say, hey, by the way, this is entitled to you. Like, again, just, I think, educate people on what they can expect going into Social Security, what they should bring, what kind of questions they should ask.
Sure. This is an interesting one. When I do large group presentations of a few hundred people, you know, again, talking about widowhood is extremely sensitive, but when you're in a group of 200, you sort of have to make it as fun as you can. Now add divorce to widowhood and, you know, either they're going to throw tomatoes at you or you have to make them laugh. So it's the kind of situation where Social Security is not going to call you when your ex-husband, whom you divorced in 1992, died. So it's like, how do you find out? And everyone has a different method. Some widows stalk him, or some divorced women stalk their exes. Some have children together, so they find out from the kids. Other times it's a friend who kept in touch with your ex. But these decades get long between the divorce a lot of times and when it's time to claim. So really your best avenue is, again, be empowered, ask the questions. If you were married to this person 10 years or longer, just put it on your calendar when you're about 60, call Social Security. And if you have his Social Security number, if you still remember it, that would be super handy. If not, it doesn't matter. But Social Security will ask you for some proof documents before they can give you any kind of information about how much his benefit was. So they can give you, if you have your divorce decree is the most important document, your marriage certificate, if you still have it. And I'll tell you what, divorced women tell me a lot, especially, well, the guys too. Like, oh, I need those documents. I don't know where they are. So put that on your to-do list. Like, find those documents before you need them. And you might have to call your attorney and get a new copy, but it is up to you. If you're divorced and, you know, the ex is absolutely not going to leave a breadcrumb trail. So you need to find out, and it'll be up to you to call Social Security. Even if say you're 67 and you have claimed your own benefit, or all the way up till 70. I mean, it doesn't really matter how old you are, or 90. If you find out, or if you want to check to see if your ex died, you know, call a kid, call a relative, however you're going to find that information out. But you are still eligible. It could be 40 years later. If his benefit that he was claiming is higher than what you're getting on your own record, you step into his shoes. So don't hesitate to ask. But unfortunately, it is incumbent upon you. I hope that helped a little.
Yeah, thank you. Are there questions from the audience? I don't want to keep taking up everyone's time.
I think does Jill have a question?
That's me. Hi.
Hi.
I have a couple of questions. So I don't think I'm entitled to it, but so I'm the below 60 with the minor children,
Okay.
but it was they've already done, they're in college now, so that's gone.
Yeah.
So I got that. But I also I'm not a teacher, but I work for the school system. So I do pay into the retirement. So are you saying that I'm not entitled, like I couldn't even take his early spousal thing at 60, or?
Well, Jill, you may be able to, because the only time GPO, the government pension offset, applies, and I think it will ultimately apply in your case, you have to be getting the pension. So have you claimed that pension benefit yet? Because
no, and I'm not going to claim that for, like, I mean, I'm like a paraprofessional, so I'm working till I'm 65. So would I be able to collect it and then start mine at 65 or put mine off?
In theory, yes. We would have to look at your exact situation. And the fastest way you can start to figure out if you're going to be eligible for any of your own Social Security as well, get your statement. So go to ssa.gov and right on that homepage, definitely sign up for your statement. Now you can't get, so is this a husband who passed away or ex-husband?
Husband.
Okay. Yeah. So
I like them.
yeah. So that information, and since you're over 60, you can.
I'm not over 60.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said you were low 60s.
No. I said it. All right. So I was 49 when he passed, and I'm only 57. I'm 57 now. So I'm not.
Okay. Oh, actually, that's great because you're in planning mode. You know, so you have time to get ahead of this.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I'd say is pull your statement, find your marriage certificate and his death certificate, just so you have them handy.
Yeah.
And what conceptually should happen is at 60, you could claim an early survivor benefit because you are not claiming your pension yet. So you're entitled to that survivor benefit on him, reduced, up until the point when your pension starts.
Okay.
Then you may or may not continue any of that survivor benefit. It'll depend how big your pension is.
Okay. Then this is a question. I don't know if this is for you because you're doing Social Security. Can you push your benefits, your retirement benefits, like your pension benefits?
I have heard one of the women I talked to here in Mass who worked for a town, she was doing exactly that. She was working when she was 75. And she had not yet claimed her pension. Now, I don't think it gets any bigger, you know, but she did not want to lose her deceased husband's Social Security. Because I'm waiting till the bitter end when I have to claim it. I don't know that was the right strategy, but that's what she did. We would have to read pension documents to see what your exact pension allows or disallows. But very often you get no more if you wait after 65. So why would you wait? And I
Okay.
don't know how big your survivor benefit would be. He died very young. So,
Well, he was 9 years old. He was 58.
oh, okay.
So, but so the survivor, like taking the family benefits there, the minor children, that has nothing to do with spousal benefits.
No.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
You're welcome. So you did get, though, or your children at least got the family benefits.
Yes.
Okay.
Which everyone thinks when you're talking about how Social Security tries to save their money, like back in the 80s, it used to be if your child was still a student and stayed in college, you could get it till 22.
Right. That's
long gone, and not a lot of people look at me and they're like, oh, at least you can collect till at 22. I'm like, oh no, if you don't sign the paper and you don't send it in. And then it goes half and half. I have 2 children.
Yeah.
They got all of it when she hit 18. It got cut in half. And when he went 18, it's, yeah.
Yep.
All right. That's,
yeah. That is exactly, I mean, it really is. And when I did what we call the more basic seminar about just Social Security in general with Paula and Bill a few weeks ago, I did mention that Social Security is meant as a social safety net. So it never covers like all your household expenses or, when you've got little kids at home, but it does help you keep food on the table.
yeah, no, I would have been nice they were sophomore and senior in college. It would have been nice, especially now where they can't work.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you.
I mean, that's for my therapist. That's fine. Thank you for listening.
Okay. Okay. Great question.
I'm good.
Are there other questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
I was told, because I'm not 60 yet, and my husband had just started to take Social Security, and Social Security told me that when I turn 60, I can collect survivor benefits, but only if I earn less than $18,000 a year.
That is correct.
Okay.
Sort of. If you make $20,000 a year.
Well, it gets reduced.
It is, well, it's reduced on 2 levels. So first, you can start at age 60, but you're going to have reduced benefits because you're 6 years before your full retirement age. And then it'll be further reduced if you're also working, making more than $18,000 this year. And it goes up a little bit every year, but that is correct.
Okay. And it stays reduced.
It gets less reduced the closer you get to your full retirement age.
Okay.
So I'll go back to a slide here and show you.
Because I came in late, so I missed.
No worries. No worries. Ask me anything. Let me just show you this slide. Oh, except I forgot to push the button. So here for survivor benefits, at your survivor full retirement age, which is somewhere between 66 and 67. You said you were not yet 60?
That's correct.
Okay, so it'll be 67. If you claim before age 67, and you can as early as 60, you would get 71.5% of his death benefit that they will give you that number. Okay. But if you claim at 63, if you wait until 63, it would be reduced 16%. And if you wait until 64, it's reduced 12%. So the closer you are to your survivor full retirement age, the less reduction you get.
Okay.
And then at your full retirement age, you can switch to your own benefit or wait all the way till 70 if you can.
Okay. All right. So, but if I took it at 60, it would be permanently reduced.
Yeah, it would.
Okay. Until I switch over to my own if it's higher.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
But that earnings limit is going to be the killer, because if you're still working and earning a pretty good salary, you won't get any. So it's reduced, but they might not pay any of it, is really how it works. So you don't get, if your survivor benefit was, after the reduction came out to say $1,200 a month, it's not like they're going to pay you $1,100 a month because you're over the earnings limit. They're not going to pay you for January, not going to pay you for February, for March, for April, for May. Oh, all of a sudden in June, maybe it kicks in. So it's not like they prorate your already reduced benefit. They don't pay you at all.
Oh, okay.
So it's really kind of tricky.
Yeah, okay. I guess so.
Yeah, it's really meant for retirement. So when you're working, you're not retired.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, that clears things up a little bit.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other
Can I ask
audience
a
questions?
question? When you say if you're making 18,000, is that salary, or adjusted gross income, or like if you were renting your house and depreciating it, and you know how rental property never has
No,
any.
it's W-2 wages or self-employment wages. Self-employment net income. So it's covered wages.
You can have other sources of income potentially.
Potentially, yeah. Getting into the tax side is a little different. Yeah, you've got a tax consideration, then you've got the earnings limit. But the earnings limit's very specific. You're really earning a living wage, or earning an employer. You're an employee, and some employer is paying you.
Gotcha.
So, Marcia, someone could be getting significant income from dividends and rental property and all that kind of stuff. It's not going to impact them.
No, correct. You get hit on the tax side,
Yep.
but not on the earnings limit.
But as you said, more is more.
More is more. Yes. And there's so many different people. Everyone has their own philosophy about Social Security. Mine comes down to that. More is more. And more is really important when you're old. We're making these really big decisions in our 60s, but lots of us are going to live until we're 90. And no 90-year-old woman says to me, wow, I'm super happy with my Social Security check. It just doesn't happen. So we need to make really smart decisions in our early 60s.
Marcia, just again, back to Social Security. When people go, what is the employees of Social Security like? Are they trying to help you get the most of the benefit when they go in? Are they knowledgeable on all this stuff? Or are they just kind of clerks and they're looking at a manual? I mean, can you elaborate on that a little?
Sure. It's a dilemma, Bill, is how I would start that. They're very, very nice people. The Social Security law book is 4,900 pages long. So these very nice, not well paid people are trying their darndest to work with every single person's unique situation for Social Security retirement benefits, spousal benefits, survivor benefits, family benefits, disability benefits, parent benefits, lump sum death benefit, and Medicare. So you walk in with your unique situation and you're one grain of sand on the beach, and they're trying, but their job, what they get graded on is, did they execute the order flawlessly? So did they turn on your benefit exactly the way it should have been turned on? And they do a really good job at that. The problem is they have very little understanding of these strategies for survivors. They don't, very often when you go in and say you're 64 and a half years old, your husband recently died, and you're trying to figure out, do I turn on my survivor benefit or do I start my own reduced benefit? Well, they can do that math for you. But in the moment, what they don't do is project then at age 70, would you have been better taking a lower dollar amount of your survivor benefit today at 64 and a half, letting your own grow with delayed retirement credits until you're 70? They can't, that's too much strategy. That's not part of their role. Every now and again, you get that one agent who knows about this, but it is literally a needle in a haystack. This is not what they do, but will they file your paperwork correctly so that your benefit starts next month? Absolutely. But that's what I'm saying. You really, the best thing you can do for yourself is to work with Paula and Bill, work with someone to help strategize. What do the numbers look like? They don't have to be the exact right numbers. It's the general magnitude. So Jill, like in your case with a GPO situation where, are you going to have no survivor benefit? Oh my gosh, that's going to be an issue in your plan. So you have to solve for that. So everyone will be a little different. The agents cannot help you with that kind of stuff.
clients like we'd like to go with them because we've sent clients in like with a definitive strategy, cutting edge, and they come back and they're like, well, they said if we do this, we'll get all this extra money up front. And we're like, no.
No, don't do it.
And so
Because then more's not more, is it, Bill? Because now they have less.
exactly. So
Yeah.
Well, I want to say we are at 8 o'clock. Does anyone have another question? I'm sure Marcia would stay if there's any questions, so please speak up. I'm not hearing any yet, but I'm just going to say this was fabulous, Marcia. Trying to educate people is just everything we try to do, and it's so key. And so I'm happy that we'll be able to share this recording. And for everyone who was here tonight, you will get a survey, and we'd love to get some feedback. And also, we will be sending you Marcia's book, What the Heck? What
the heck is with Social Security?
Yeah. Exactly, for women. You will get a copy of it directly from Amazon. One of the interesting things I found last time is people on the West Coast got the book really quickly. People on the East Coast, it took more than a week. So sometime in the next 2 weeks, you will get the copy of the book. So thank you so much. You have Marcia's contact information. Please follow her on social media. Reach out if you have a question. Feel free to reach out to us as well. We are so grateful for you being here tonight and taking the time to educate yourself so that you can make the best decisions for you and your family. So thank you, everyone, and I'm going to end the recording.